are all the various drift zones in Forza Horizon 5. And as you can see, there's a lot. So today we are going to be diving into the 5 best drift cars in Forza Horizon 5 for point drifting or just straight up tandems. Now, first up, we have the Pontiac Trans Am, and the exact model is the 1987 version. Now, is this gonna be an insane point drifting car? By no means. No, you're not gonna be racking up any scores with this car. In fact, I think you would be hard pressed to even 3-star a couple drift zones with it. But that is because this car is a slow drifting beast, insanely good for tandems, or just getting good control drifting clips that'll just look pleasing. It pretty much does the drifting for you, and this is a tune that I put on. I made this very quickly in a couple of minutes. So if you were to put an actual good drift tune on, I can't even imagine how good this car would be. As you guys know, muscle cars are some of the smoothest drift cars in Forza Horizon 5. So obviously we had to kick things off with one. And it didn't even oversteer me there. That was crazy. But this is number 1 on our list. Let's go ahead and dive into the next car on today's list. And next up, you guys knew it was going to be on here. It had to be on here. And it's the Toyota AE86. Now, this is the car I have almost all of my point drifting scores with in this game for very obvious reasons. You can go pretty much 90 degrees sideways in every drift zone and still hold angle. I haven't point drifted with this car in a while, and I'm still doing pretty good on this zone. In fact, I'm probably beating most of your scores with this atrocious controlling. So if you've never point drifted in this car, you're kind of really missing out. There's no downsides to it. 120,000. I think that's really good through there. It's very beginner friendly and easy to control, and you're just gonna rack up those insane scores. But that being said, it's definitely not my favorite point drifting car in the game, because that's gonna go to our number 2 on the list today. So stay tuned for that, but let's dive into number 3. Boys, before we go any further, we do have a quick 30-second sponsor for today's video. If you guys are looking for a safe, secure, modded account, go ahead and check out MitchCactus.com. And if you do decide to purchase anything, make sure you're using code Ryzen for 5% off all your purchases. They do offer anywhere from coin packages to your existing Forza account. So if you don't want to go ahead and start a new account because you already have progress on your existing one, that's okay. They can add as much as you would like to your existing account depending on the package you buy. They have thousands of Trustpilot reviews, so if you're interested, go ahead and check out MitchCactus.com. And number 3 is the 1969 Dodge Charger. Obviously, because it has the number 69 in it, it's going to be really good at drifting. And by number 2 being my favorite car, I meant number 4. I kind of forgot what order I was doing them in. But this car is just the smoothest drift car in the game. As nice as the Pontiac is, it's definitely a different kind of drifting in the Pontiac. The Charger is just going to have the best time with tandems. Like, I don't think you're ever going to screw up a line while you're using the Dodge Charger, because it just makes your life so easy. It has a ton of horsepower if you need to correct, but I guess the back weighs enough to perfectly balance it while drifting. I don't know. I don't understand how this car drifts so insanely well, but even if you play on controller, you're gonna have no problem learning how to drift on this car if it's gonna be your first one. Like, look at these corners. It's pretty much drifting for me. Now, obviously, you want this car in rear-wheel drive, because if you put it in front-wheel drive, you're not gonna have a very good time. And all-wheel drive, well, that's just not where this car shines. So let me know if you've tried this car out before or if you haven't. But let's dive into the next car, because the next one is my absolute favorite on today's list, and it's the Lexus SC300. And yes, you probably have the right one. I don't have another one. It looks very lame by default, so you kind of have to soup it up to make it look cool. But Ryzen, why is this your favorite drift car in the game? Well, I'm so glad you asked. It's my favorite in the game because it's the laziest point drift car in the game. You literally just have to keep it in 1 gear, and you can do every single point drift zone in the game and possibly get a high score even. It's so good. It's obviously very easy to control. You can see how well, maybe not how well, but how effortlessly I'm taking corners in this thing. You saw we got down to like 60 miles per hour there. no problem. We'll keep it in second gear because we don't need to shift. We literally just sit back and enjoy ourselves drifting in this car. So if you're trying to learn manual shifting, maybe this is a good car for you to start on. It really glides too if you use the handbrake, so you can really extend some good corners. Now, I am not making it look the best. I have to admit, I have not drifted this zone in about 6 months. But nonetheless, I promise you, if you use this car and you're like decent at drifting, unlike me, you're not gonna be disappointed. It's probably gonna become your #1 favorite car also. Man, this is a bad score. You're supposed to have like 500,000 by this point. What the heck am I doing? Anyways, let's dive into the #1 car on today's list, the best drift car in the game. And I am, of course, talking about the Willys Jeep. Now, if you're somewhat involved in point drifting, you probably already know about this car and how this is the best point drift car in the game. The only reason it's not my favorite is because it's like quite a large skill gap to get really good with it. But when you are really good with it, as you can see, you can just hold perfectly sideways corners and you'll never oversteer. I don't know what's wrong with this car, but oversteering is not an option. You're never gonna spin out. So all the professional point drifters that have all the highest scores legit in Forza Horizon 5, this is the car they've been using for obvious reasons. Look at how it held that entire angle without any gas, and now we're still into the drift, still drifting, and I am bad with this thing. Imagine if I wasn't. So if you've never used this car, I highly recommend you give it a try, but don't be upset if it's not working for you immediately. Like I said, you do have to get a feel for the car and really figure out how to hold your corners. Otherwise, I don't think you'll have a very good time with it. But it's incredibly cheap, so everyone watching this video could probably give it a try. I think it's only like 20,000 credits. And you know what? I promise if you use this car for at least a week, every single one of your drift scores, they're gonna be beaten. Every single one. But anyways, boys, that is our list for today. Let me know if you found some new favorite drift cars, and let me know if there's some hidden drift cars that I left off the list that I just didn't know about. If this video gets 400 likes, we'll make a part 2 with even more drift cars. As always, we'll see you boys in the next video. I'm out. A peace.